Hello and welcome to the program. I am DEJI360 EPP. Now, the race for the leadership of the National Assembly is really heating up, and the issue of zoning has been one big talking point. In the Senate, it appears the race for the Senate presidency is now being narrowed down to the South-South or the Southeast, or both of them. And candidates from the two zones have been making very strong pitches, visiting the president, holding meetings and making their cases. It's no different now in the House of Representatives, where different candidates from different geopolitical zones have been making very strong pitches as well. One interesting thing about the speakership race, though, is that even members elect, I should say, from opposition parties who are in the minority are also angling for the position. That's the position of the speaker or even the deputy speaker. Now, the opposition lawmakers who style themselves as greater majority say they're united in the pursuit of their objective. In fact, they say they have set up a committee to shop for credible candidates for the position. Normally, only members from majority parties contest and stand a good chance of winning the position of Speaker of the House. But this time, members from minority parties could actually also nick it if they contested and got a substantial number of members of the House to support them. And this has actually happened before in the Senate, when the position of the Deputy Senate Presidency was won by a member from a party in the minority. So, greater majority group are hoping to do the same thing in the House, and they say they have more than 180 members on their side. That's over 50% of the elected members, which might be a sufficient quorum now not to surrender the positions of Speaker or Deputy Speaker now completely to the majority All Progressives Congress APC. They've also promised to continue to unify the coalition of opposition parties so that it can be an effective check now on the ruling party in order to safeguard the rule of law. So, interesting days ahead in the National Assembly. But joining me now to discuss this further is political affairs analyst and legal practitioner Adewale Ajadi, who joins us from Abuja. Mr. Ajadi, thank you very much for your time. Interesting days ahead in the National Assembly. Let's start with the Senate presidency. Obviously, it's been narrowed down to the Southeast and South-South to be specific. How do you see the race playing out between the two zones?
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to speak on your program. It's going to be very interesting because, you know, even though there are some prominent people looking to be the Senate presidents, and there's some rules about seniority and all of that, and a few returning senators. The challenge is the quality of the people in terms of their character, their track record, and all these things. That has to be decided. If we end up just filling the space with someone because they are from a part of the country, but their competence and their capacity to work with the executive is in question, then we are going to run into a problem like we did when the first term of President Buhari, where a lot could have been achieved, which was later achieved in the second term.
Now, talking about the rules in the Senate, I mean, there's this, I don't know if it's a rule now, but, well, you could call it a rule that whoever becomes the Senate president or whoever would be running for the Senate presidency now has to be a ranking senator, so to speak. But as we speak now, we have senators-elect now, people who have not been in the Senate before, and a good example is the governor of Ebonyi State, who is also campaigning to be the Senate president. I'm just wondering, for those who are very fresh in the Senate, do you think will they be allowed to contest? Will the rule allow them to run? Because even though there's no law, I mean, the Constitution, of course, does not bar anyone from contesting. I'm just wondering, would this rule of the Senate that says only ranking senators will be allowed to contest, would it apply to them?
Well, it should apply, unfortunately, I think, because the former governor you mentioned is a very capable person and probably has enough political will and relationship with the incoming president that will make things work. Certainly, there is the former governor of Edo State as well. These are people who have built
but
their
they've not been in the Senate before.
In terms of
they've not been in the
supporting
Senate. I mean, they've not been in the Senate before. They're coming to the Senate for the first time.
This is my point, that the rule would prevent them if it's applied strictly. It will prevent them. And that's a problem, because you might end up with somebody who has been in the Senate before, but doesn't have the relationship with the incoming president. The last thing we want in this country is some kind of split relationship in governance that doesn't deliver the kind of goods that we want going forward.
But you
so
also
there is something that has to be considered about effectiveness rather than ranking senator.
But you also don't want to get a senator there as Senate president who would use the first few months, for instance, or the first few months to learn on the job. It's a very tough job, no doubt. So it definitely would require some experience. So I'm just wondering, if you got someone who is very fresh, does not understand the rules and procedures in the Senate, how would such a person preside over the Senate?
Well, this is the interesting thing that we are facing, having borrowed an American system where these things favor those who have stayed there forever. At the same time, there's something that says to my own mind, and this is a personal view, that we need things to be disrupted a little bit. That the Nigerian legislature should not be a carbon copy of the American system, where the powerful and the privileged continue to be returned to the Senate and constantly have their own little battles amongst them. There has to be something to be said for a developing country to have an effective relationship between the legislative arm and the executive arm for the interest of the people overall. And what we have seen so far with our legislature is that it's been a bastion of privilege, and rarely, except the last Senate, have we seen the kinds of vibrancy that we need.
All right, let's quickly take a short break now, and we'll be right back. Stay with us, don't go away. Opinions are free, facts are sacred, the truth is universal. How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians are saying in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues. All right, welcome back. Let's continue our discussion now on the Senate and Speakership race in the National Assembly. We've since been joined by another guest who is a political affairs analyst, Arinze Igweli, who joins us, of course, in the studio. He's a political affairs analyst, as I've said. Arinze, thank you very much for coming on the program. And we still have Adewale Ajadi, who is with us, who joined us, of course, when we started from Abuja. Let me come to you, Arinze. The Senate presidency essentially narrowed down to the south of the country, specifically the south-south and the southeast. How do you see the race playing out? What do you expect?
Well, I don't think it's narrow to the southeast and the south-south, basically, because you still have a number of northern senators,
yes.
vying. Or, you know, there's one particular...
But it appears some kind of consensus is emerging that it has to be in the south.
Yes, there is that consensus, which naturally ought to be what should be at play. But, you know, this is Nigeria, and, you know, a country with multi-ethnic and a pluralistic set of ethnicities. You're bound to have people saying that it shouldn't be zoned, it should be given to the best of us. Even some are claiming that their zone should be rewarded for the number of votes they gave the president-elect, you know, and the party itself. So I will agree that it has been narrowed down. We should not forget the lessons of 2015, where some renegade senators collaborated with the opposition to produce a Senate president that was not the choice of the party then. But be that as it may, I agree with you that it is the turn of either the South-South or the Southeast. But I am not rooting for a Senate President from the Southeast. And I'll give you my reasons.
Okay.
My reasons are, one, I belong to an Igbo group that is made up of young intellectuals, and we are at this point rooting for a younger form of leadership for Ndi Igbo. And based on this, we have decided to, say, look, we are not interested in the Senate presidency. We are more interested in the speakership of the House of Representatives. And we'll give you our reasons. First of all, the House of Reps has not had an Igbo speaker since the inception of the Fourth Republic. Other major zones and major ethnic groups have produced who will be the speaker. But Ndi Igbo are yet to produce a speaker for the House of Representatives. Again, we are worried that most of the candidates running for the Senate presidency have been ex-this, ex-that, ex-governor, ex-party this, ex-this, so how do we continue to recycle these people? And they've been in different parties, this party today, that party tomorrow. So it was based on this that the Igbo Mandates movement group said, no, we want a young person. And since we don't have that person in the Senate, we will not resolve that we should go for the office of Speaker. So as I speak to you, I am not rooting for anybody running for Senate presidency from the Southeast. My candidate, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, is of Bende Federal Constituency, is our candidate for Speaker. So we have tried to liaise with several Igbo interest groups, and we'll say that, look, give us the speakership. We don't care where the Senate presidency goes to. We're not bothered.
Really?
Yes. But give us the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Because we are more interested in, projecting a new form of leadership in Igbo land. So we have now said that, look, we're not interested in who becomes Senate president. What Ndi Igbo should be going after should be the Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives. And that's our stand.
I'm just wondering what your reaction would be to that, Mr. Jadi. What do you think about that?
Highly problematic for me. It's a choice of individuals.
Problematic to be candid.
If I comment on everybody's choices, I'm going to run into trouble. But let me put it this way. We as Nigerians have never developed the best way to utilize our diversity effectively. And if we don't develop the ways to utilize our diversity, not just in terms of ethnicity, but in terms of age, in terms of gender. I mean, we've never had a woman. We had one woman for a few months, I think.
Yes.
In any of these posts. And this is about 49.5% of the population. This is shocking. So, the reality is that when we talk about zoning this and zoning that, whether it's geopolitical or ethnicity, we tend to forget that if we are going to look at anything in terms of entitlement, what is up to about 50% of the population should have that entitlement as a matter of course, of representation. But granted, I think that we are where we are at, and this is our reality, that our ethnicity plays a very prominent part, and our religion plays a very prominent part, and the geographical area plays a very prominent part. But we should all count those things in the context and in the context of the nation that we want to see going ahead, irrespective of the challenges we face today.
But let's talk reality here. Realistically, don't you think the South has a better chance of producing a Senate president than it has producing a speaker?
If this is to me, I just say that it doesn't really matter. I think that we should use the best talent possible. I think there's nothing wrong with having a speaker from the Southeast. If that speaker is a sterling figure that carries the support of the members of the House, and that they diligently pursue the agenda for the collective will of the people of Nigeria, then so be it. Whether and that person will win if they are articulate, if they are engaging, if they are able to win the support of their colleagues. Then of course they will win. Of course they will win.
Arinze, what do you think?
Well, that's nothing wrong. You see, the gentleman that just spoke my heart out. You see, the problem, like I said, the problem we've always had is the quality of leadership we present. Now, we've always said, we had in 1999, the Southeast had 5 Senate presidents. 5. Let them show me, apart from Chubo Kadibo, who was methodical in his leadership of the Senate, and perhaps Ken Namani, who who got used to fight the third term agenda. Show me any Senate president that was quite remarkable because they zoned it to the Southeast. Now, look at it from this aspect. We had Ike Ekweremadu, who was Deputy Senate President for almost
12 years.
12 years. Show me any remarkable developments in his home state of Enugu. So what we are saying is that we should present characters and not say, okay, because this man is running from the Southeast, it should go to him. Now, Honorable, our candidate, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, has been spokesperson for the House for the past 4 years. For the first time in the history of the House of Representatives, you saw where there was a change in the reaction, in the public view of the House before the public. That is, the people the House of Reps are supposed to be communicating to on a daily basis, the citizens of Nigeria and other interest groups that we had. This is a young man who has no baggage. This is a young man who has no, I don't know if you are going to get my point. No EFCC cases, no drama, nothing. So why should we now, reduce ourselves? This is a man whose bills, when you study his bills and his motions.
The question I want to ask you is,
yes,
don't you think the number 3 position, wouldn't you want the number 3 position, for instance, to come to the Southeast rather than fight for the number 4th position?
If the number 3 position is not going to do Ndi Igbo any good, what is the point of it coming? What is the point of it coming? If it's going to be used to settle scores, if it's going to be used to massage egos, I mean, these were people who we saw as governors of states. One of the candidates was the former governor of his state for 8 good years. I mean, why his track records? Is that the one man you want us to entrust with Senate presidency? No. It doesn't make sense to me.
Now,
we keep complaining of recycled leadership. This is a clear case of recycled leadership.
Now, there is a group in the National Assembly, especially in the House of Representatives, called the Greater Unity Group. And this group is, the members are mainly in the minority parties, and they are forming a coalition, if you like, of minority parties to probably upset the apple cart now for the APC and do what we saw in the Senate in 2015 that you actually alluded to, Arinze. This group is trying to come up with a speaker and probably deputy speaker now from the minority parties. I'm wondering, do you think they stand a chance?
Anything is possible in politics, my good host. Anything is possible. But they should be wary because when you have the speaker and you have the deputy speaker for minority parties, you don't expect them to survive whatever onslaughts they are going to receive. You saw what happened.
But that is actually possible because if some members in the majority party, the APC party now supports them, that's achievable. We saw that happen in the Senate when Ike Ekweremadu was elected Deputy Senate President.
Yes. That happened because you had 2 parties. You had just a mix of 2 parties. The PDP and APC. Now you have the mix of Labour Party, SDP, ABGA, PDP. To me, it's like it's going to be like a Tower of Babel, because by the time you have these guys, they are bound to have one or two breaks. But if you compare it with that of 2015, you had Bukola Saraki and the supporters who were resolute in saying, look, this thing should come to us. And then you also had a PDP that had just lost power. So they were trying to do everything to see how they could, you understand, rock the boat of the All Progressive Congress. Thankfully, the All Progressive Congress was able to manage through that period. But you also saw that it affected the quality of legislation. A number of bills from either the Senate or from the executive were frustrated, were stymied, because of the fact that there was no synergy between the executive and the Senate
National Assembly,
and the National Assembly itself. So we need to avoid such things. So I would advise them, the best they should do is to play the role of an opposition. But if they want to, of course, it's politics. They can try, but it's gonna spell doom for them, because even if they are to get it, I do not think they have the staying power to hold on to it like Saraki and co.
What do you think, Adewale Ajadi? What do you think? Okay, I understand we've lost him, but let me come to you, Arinze. Yeah. So eventually, how do you see the speakership race playing out?
Well, you may accuse me of being biased here. Like I said, we are rooting, my group, a number of concerned Nigerian intelligentsia, concerned Nigerian youths all over the country. We are rooting for Honorable Benjamin Kalu. And
even though you are not going to be voting anyway.
Yeah, of course, we won't be voting, but it's our choice. Even in America, whoever becomes speaker, a lot of people try to influence, a lot of lobbyists, a lot of groups and all. I have been talking to legislators from Anambra State concerning Benjamin Kalu. I have been talking to some of my friends and legislators all over the federation concerning Benjamin Kalu. So it's a thing of influence. You understand what I'm saying? Even though I will not be voting, but there are ways and means that you can try and reach out to. They are human beings. They are people like us. They go through the same issues we go through. They have the same problems. They have the same challenges like ordinary Nigerians like us. So obviously, we are rooting for Honorable Benjamin Kalu. We are just waiting for the party to zone officially. And when they zone officially, then we would know where the bell will toll. But
and let's go to Adewale Ajadi now. Talking about zoning, really, how do you see the party? I mean, the APC now. How do you see it zoning the Senate Presidency and the Speakership? Because the party has actually not come out openly on this. And also give me your take on the plan by minority parties in the House of Representatives to sort of take on the ruling party and try to produce a speaker and possibly deputy speaker of the House.
Well, the truth be said, I think that's a disaster waiting to happen, the one of the minority parties, because it's easy to get flies to flock when there's something to share. But then when things change, once things are settled, they will split apart. It's just inevitable. It's easy to get them to vote together right now to select offices. But how are they going to maintain that throughout the course of the year? I just think it's a ready-made disaster. If you look at the Saraki situation, Saraki came from PDP. So he had built a relationship with PDP before coming back to the Senate. And so he was able to mobilize and maintain the relationships because there were prior relationships. Many of these representatives are first-time representatives. They are from parties from all over. They have different ethnicities and all of that. I don't think it's going to work. It might work to win post, but it will not work to maintain the post. We will make a lot of mistakes in that. So I don't think it's a great idea. On zoning, Zoning is an imperfect approach to maintain spread of representation and utilize diversity. It's very imperfect, as we have seen with the PDP. It's very imperfect, as we have seen with every single party that's tried it. Is imperfect, but it's the usual go-to of the Nigerian elite when they want to share the spoils. So what is best to do is to recognize that zoning plus is the only thing that works. You don't zone if the person is incompetent and incapable of carrying out the duties you are giving to them. Secondly, you zone to ensure that the nation can get behind you, not zone to a situation where the nation will not be behind you, but you have satisfied the interest of groups. So in relation to the Senate, of course, it makes sense because in the sense now that we have a limited diversity in the executive branch.
Yeah.
To have diversity in the legislative branch of religion and things like that, it might help a lot. The country is at the brink of disaffection, serious disaffection. People have gone into oppositional politics in the way that they started during Buhari more so, but it seems to have been maintained with vigor now, even before the government has gone into power. So we have to use all the accessibilities to be effective in this one.
Absolutely. Arinza, what do you think? I'll give you a chance.
I agree with him. Like I've said, we are only zoning because we're still a green democracy. Time will come when we would have to resort to presenting our best persons. But that still doesn't stop us while trying to, fit into the present milieu. That we can say, okay, we zone, but we'll still have to bring out our best to those zones we've gone to. And that is the reason why we have said that it doesn't make any sense to zone to a region where you do not have the class acts to help. I mean, we're coming from a period where people have said, despite the fact that I also give President Buhari some credit in some aspects, infrastructure, and etc. But you can't have it all. And then you now have a situation where you're having a country that is saying, look, we went through this in 8 years, and let's see if this man can fix or try and repair some of the damages. So we'll need every hand, every office, every person. It doesn't make sense if the president is trying to push 1 or 2, 3, 4 legislations that will help Nigerians, and then you have a Senate that is still doing Ghana must go politics, per se. So we must have the best of hands. Even if we are to zone, please, we should zone to where we will get the best of hands, so that we can help, uplift this democracy. Otherwise, we will just be, going backwards. And when we are going backwards, we are giving people the notion that, sometimes democracy is not the best form of government. And God forbid, should that happen, I don't know where we'll go from there.
Well, we wish you all the best of luck in your quest to get Representative Benjamin Kalu elected as Speaker of the House of Representatives. He's a young man, of course, I know him.
Yes, he is.
Well, we'll wait and see how it goes. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program and for sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you so very much. All right, we'll take a short break now, but coming up, the Southern Kaduna crisis. Just how can lasting peace be returned to a region that has been troubled for a very long time? Stay with us, don't go away, because that's what we'll be talking about next. Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal. How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.